The Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, Ms. Barbara Creecy, will officially open the 9th People and Parks Conference today. Now, the conference will be held under the theme Banking on Conservation Areas for Rural Development and Economic Recovery. Let's cross to our reporter Nozintombi Miya, who will be tracking this one for us. Nozintombi, good morning. And I must say, it's just so great to have things slowly coming back to normal where we are out and, doing these sorts of activations. So talk to us about what to expect today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sakina. You're quite right. It's been quite a while since we've actually had an in-person conference, and to have it at a place like the Sandton Convention Center, which has been renowned for, in-person conferences, is definitely an indication that things are slowly getting back to normal. And what a fantastic way to get back to normal, other than to talk about land issues, the bread and butter issues of indigenous people in the country. And what's so important about this conference itself, the 9th Conference of Peoples and Park, is that we are going to be having quite a number of indigenous land claimants who were initially removed from parks, national parks, or areas that were considered conservative, or areas that were considered private areas or protected areas being moved out of there. And what we're seeing with these conferences is that these indigenous people have been given an opportunity to partake in the economic transformation, not just for themselves, for their communities and for the area. So in terms of issues such as being able to provide access to tourism, access to bed and breakfast, to be able to employ those people, those indigenous people that were impacted by being moved from those protected areas in a manner or in some form of work that has got to do with conserving or tourism of those national parks. And with me to talk a little bit more about the significance of this conference and the significance of the work that is being done to help empower these indigenous people, I have Mam Flora Mokhotwa, and she is the Deputy Director General for Biodiversity and Conservation in the Department of Environment. Thank you so much for joining me, Mam Flora. Just tell us about this conference. It's the 9th conference. What are going to be the key talking points in this particular conference today?
Thank you very much. We are convened today here under the theme of banking on conservation areas for rural development and social and economic recovery, largely because we are emerging out of a very painful COVID period, as you may be aware. And obviously, we have been working very hard to ensure that we involve people in the management of protected areas. So what we aim to achieve here is to further deepen the relationship between people and nature, between people and the areas that surround them, that are providing them with livelihoods opportunities also.
Flora, let me jump in there. You're quite right. You said such an important point around how COVID has impacted on these people. Not only has COVID impacted on the people, but COVID has impacted on tourism, which really is the lifeblood for these people. How are you hoping to start mitigating against the impact that COVID has had on tourism?
One of the things that we've done over the years is to work with these beneficiary communities within these protected areas or conservation areas around providing socio-economic infrastructure, tourism infrastructure, so that they can then use these facilities to attract tourism opportunities or other biodiversity economy opportunities into these areas. And therefore, what we have done, therefore, is to set in place governance mechanisms where we work with these communities around how they are able to derive direct benefits out of the operations of these conservation areas.
Just to cut you in there, when you say direct benefits, what does that mean? What is a tangible explanation for that?
Direct benefits could relate to issues around gate takings, around from accommodation facilities. It can even extend to opportunities for harvesting, whether it's harvesting for medicinal purposes or harvesting for other plant derivatives that are within these protected areas. It also relates to opportunities around getting from hunting proceeds also. Those are some of the opportunities that we talk about that can come out of the protected areas or the conservation areas.
Ma'am Flora, to talk about the conservation, how are the indigenous communities who are now being given access to these opportunities going to assist with conservation for these protected areas?
We're looking at a whole value chain within the conservation management perspective. So it's not only for them to be employed, it is also about them being core managers in these particular conservation areas or protected areas as we refer to them. And therefore, how they are going to be benefiting is that we provide them with skills development, obviously, in order for them to participate in the co-management arrangement, which is a structure that has been set in place to run these facilities. They also participate in respect of jobs, and therefore they are directly involved in the management and the operations of these conservation areas.
All right. Thank you so much. Ma'am Flora, the Deputy Director General of Biodiversity and Conservation in the Department of Environment, just giving us more insight about what this conference is about and how this conference is so important, not just to protecting protected areas, but also providing opportunities for the indigenous people that were removed from those areas. And with that, I'm going to leave it now with Ma'am Flora.